Good morning. Welcome to Pot Up with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. John Cornell, Shane Matthews on a Thursday edition.
Yeah.
Should be tipping off March Madness today, but we aren't.
4 hours from now, we would be getting started for two of the best days in the sports season. History gone goodbye. You don't really know how much you love something until you miss it like this. And, man, QB, 4 hours from now, we'd have been tipping it off, and who knows, maybe something like Boston University would have beaten Michigan State today. Something exciting like that.
Mm-hmm.
All gone, bye-bye, and not to come back. And I'll tell you, if I was going to ask, well, I am going to ask this question, what is the most crushing blow, aside from the average, the actual cancellation of the tournament? Who do you think is suffering the most on a deal like this with the NCAA tournament being canceled in terms of the schools that would be participating?
You're asking for a specific school?
Just what's the most crushing blow? Who do you think is feeling it the worst right now? I mean, they all are. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
All the athletes.
Well, certainly. So I would say, to answer my question.
Yeah, I don't know where the hell you're going with that.
Well, I would say this is the most crushing for somebody like Dayton, because Dayton is a school that's not gotten any success in the past. They've got a coach who was unceremoniously fired at Alabama, who's considered as the coach of the year right now. They won their last 20 straight games. They finished 29-2 on the year. They would have been a number one seed. And that just doesn't happen at Dayton. And the 1 out of 15 years that it might happen, that year gets canceled. So to me, they are suffering the most, because all of them are. But for a place like Dayton, I mean, that is just so sad. And speaking of sadness, let's take a look at our March Sadness bracket, QB. We have a March Sadness bracket here on Pod Up with Matthews in the morning. I pulled it up. So these are our activities. We can watch TV or like a movie or yard work. Who wins that one?
There's nothing to watch on TV now.
So we go with yard work.
I'd much rather go out and do something out in the yard than sit around and watch, reruns of Matlock or something.
Would you rather? What about Matlock? Is that the one you can pull up? You would pull up Matlock out of all this with Netflix out there and everything.
I don't have Netflix, and I care.
What do
I don't
you got?
care to
Basic cable there, QB. You get channels 1 through 13.
No, I have probably 500 channels.
500 that you don't need.
I just don't have the patience to sit down and watch a movie.
I can't.
Or watch these different. Not sitcoms.
Maybe you should explore some science fiction or something to get your brain away from all of this
I'll wash your
nonsense.
Car. Bring your car over. I'll wash it before I do that.
Let's look at the other bracket. We've got vacuuming or dusting in the house.
I'd rather vacuum.
You vacuum, so vacuum. Okay, it's vacuum versus yard work in the next bracket. Going down, we have interact with family or tax preparation. Oh, that's an easy one.
Interact with family.
Yeah, certainly. And then, I don't know where this one came from. Get to know my wife. Not everybody has a wife. Or barbecuing.
I think everybody's going to choose barbecue.
Well, QB, you wouldn't say that if you were married, I would hope. But maybe you can get your wife to barbecue. Maybe your wife loves barbecuing. Oh, it's definitely.
I think you.
Although I already know my wife, so I don't even know why that's the 4 seed right now. So barbecuing would all be part of getting to know the wife too. So that's kind of a bad bracket. That's a lousy bracket. But certainly we've gone to vacuuming and yard work in the Sweet 16. Where are we going with that?
I'll go vacuuming.
Vacuuming?
Yeah, it's easy.
Stay inside, not sweat so much, although... okay, so it looks like vacuuming is in the Final Four.
Barbecue's going to win.
Barbecue's got to win that, yeah.
Hands down.
But then you have to go to the store and get food, and you have to get everything prepared. And
Speaking of store, am I the only person that hasn't gone to buy anything?
Thank you for the March Sadness bracket. Are you the what?
Am I the only person that hasn't gone to the store and panicked and bought anything?
Well, QB, you don't consume a lot. You don't need much. You make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and you're good for the day. I mean, that doesn't take a whole lot of maintenance there.
Well, I got food at night and morning and lunch.
Do you have enough toilet paper and paper towels and stuff like that?
I mean, last time I bought that was a month ago, maybe.
Wow, he's stocked. So what are you, a bulk buyer?
No, I buy. I mean, I don't get it, but we don't need to go there.
We don't need to go where?
I just don't understand
what your shopping habits are.
No, I don't understand why people are panicking and buying so much stuff.
Well,
I don't understand it at all.
It's a crisis.
Speaking of the coronavirus, JC.
Yeah.
I was talking to my
Chinese
son,
coronavirus.
who is on the Florida football team, and the week before the Georgia game, they had a bye week.
Yeah.
He and about 15 other players were very ill, and they go to the training room. They send them over to the infirmary, the doctors, and all that. Flu
What
test.
were their symptoms?
It was like the flu,
So they had the flu.
but they thought they had the flu.
oh, they
They didn't have the flu.
they did.
They then tested them for strep. They didn't have strep.
Ah.
I think this virus was here back then.
You think the Chinese coronavirus came in and infected a portion of the Florida Gator football team?
Well, I'm just saying, not just here. I think it's been here before, and now for whatever reason it's spreading. But it was. I mean, when you get tested for the flu or have flu type symptoms, and they say you don't have the flu and you don't have strep,
Yeah.
tell them you do the math.
Well, I don't know. I'm not an MD there, QB. I just know that sick is sick and it's bad.
Yeah.
And maybe he had some bad food in the locker room with those players. Maybe they
Dude,
just.
you don't have when you eat bad food, you don't
poisoning.
have the symptoms that everybody's talking
So
about
you're
right
talking about
now.
like fevers.
They had the same exact symptoms as what
Well,
people are
fever
talking
could
about
be
right
an
now.
infection too, QB.
Yeah, but they had shortness of breath. They had all this stuff that people are
so they had
talking
some
about now.
respiratory issues.
I'm just saying.
Well,
This was back in November.
China covered this up for months before it came out. That's documented as fact, folks. And I don't care if you think it's racist. It's not. That's where the crap came from. It's China.
Yes, and
so
we got some Facebook Live
what-
comments brought to you by Pound Hurt, your preferred personal
at 'em.
injury attorneys. And John Darr says 9 eats more than most people. I do.
There
I
you
eat a
go.
lot.
So if you eat all this, what did you buy? 30 rolls of toilet paper?
No, I don't.
You just don't go to the bathroom.
I go to the
You just
store.
eat?
I go to the store maybe about once a week, but I haven't been since all this has
That's
happened.
typical what everybody does.
Yep.
right?
No, everybody is gone and then loaded up their baskets.
No, I mean typically that's what folks do. Now sometimes I'll run in because I forgot something, which is ordinary. I'll forget what I could have bought. Like if I need some Listerine or some Colgate and I didn't get one, and I got everything else, I'll go back there and get some more, and then I'll see something else I want.
I still don't understand the whole.
You don't
deal of
understand
toilet
just
paper.
stocking up.
No, I do not understand
Well,
that at
QB,
all.
you have to live through these hurricanes. What did you do when it was hurricane season? You didn't stock up batteries and do your hurricane preparedness
Nope.
kits?
Nope.
You are not prepared.
I'm
you
very prepared.
Are not.
I'm always prepared. You don't need all that stuff. It's overblown. I'm telling you.
On Facebook Live, Rick, a top fan, says, I feel bad for all the workers who are losing wages. Some NBA owners and players are donating to that cause. I think that's certainly a worthwhile endeavor to do because there are a lot of support folks that are behind the scenes that need help right now. And, man, if they're not helping out those guys, I would be shocked. Here's another one from Rick Shagan. What time do you want me to bring my car to get washed? You've now started the QB car wash service. Are you going to have enough water? I mean, your water bill could go sky high through the roof.
Why did I say I'd rather wash your car than do what?
Because you were talking about the March Sadness bracket.
No, it was about, I said I'd rather wash cars than watch reruns of certain shows.
Matlock
or sit down on
MacGyver.
Netflix. I just can't
Yeah,
watch
Netflix.
those series.
You can't watch those TV series?
I can't.
You can't binge watch? Is that what you're saying? So you're the only guy in America that doesn't binge watch.
I'm the only guy in America that doesn't have
I don't
Netflix.
watch much either, QB. Well, I tell you this. If I didn't have it taken care of for me online, I never would have known how to do it. I was still getting those CD things that you stick in the $29 player that you hook up with the wire behind your TV. And you use a little cheap remote control to try to, hit play and fast forward.
You still go down to Blockbuster and rent a movie? Is that what you're saying?
It wasn't on a tape. It was on a disc, right? It's the disc. What are those called? DVDs?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would use those. And now apparently you just go up there with your remote control and you just go bip, bip, bip. Somehow my name showed up on the screen. I guess she set it up that way. I go like this. And
so you
not
do watch shows.
But not everything that you want is on Netflix. Trust me on that. Look, this is what I do. I watch something if I can't do something else because I'm not vacuuming.
Yeah.
I'm not good at it. Now, Area Rug Masters, those guys that just showed up on our roll, they're very good at it. And Diane says, QB on the Pound Hurt Facebook Live says, Diane says, QB, be prepared.
I'm always prepared.
How are you always prepared if you don't buy anything to be prepared with?
I got what I need, so that's called
Until you run out of it. Until you run out of it, then you don't got what you need.
I've yet to do it. So
you're out of it.
Yet to do it. Yeah, at 8:30 we're gonna have Alex Marvez from
good.
Sirius XM, NFL
him.
radio host, joining us talking
NFL.
NFL free agency, which has not slowed down.
No, we had a deal. We had a deal last night in Chicago. When was the last time a Super Bowl winning MVP was traded for a compensatory pick? The Bears get Nick Foles from Jacksonville for a 4th-round compensatory
Don't
pick.
the Bears, don't the Jaguars still have to pay him like $17 million? I am pretty sure
I'm
of
not
that.
sure of that, but I do know.
I think he's going to be getting paid by both teams. I'm going to ask Alex Marvez.
That's a great question. Write it down there, QB, so you don't forget. But this puts Mitchell Trubisky on notice. I mean, he was, the 2nd or 3rd pick in the 2017 draft. I don't know if it was 2nd or 3rd. But, that Matt Nagy was the coach of the year 2 years ago. The Bears were great. They lost in the first round, unfortunately, for them. And then last year, they were just completely out of sync and were terrible. And so with the way the with the way the CBA was written in 2011, these rookie wage scales afforded these teams the ability to just say, look, if you don't work out, you're out of here. Before, when Sam Bradford signed a rookie deal, he was paid $50 million. You couldn't just get rid of him like that. And now with the rookie wage scale changing after that 2011 CBA was written, and I'll ask Alex about this too, teams are able to just tell these rookie quarterbacks, look, if you don't make it, you're out. And it's not going to cost us a whole lot of money against the cap. And another guy that comes to my mind where there could be some pressure are some of these guys that were drafted in 2018. Josh Allen and certainly Baker Mayfield, they have been set up to succeed. Right now, with Buffalo getting Stephon Diggs, but they played in the first game. They went to the playoffs as a wild card team, and I still can't figure out what the hell that guy was doing in the second half of that game. They had that game won. Josh Allen, you saw the second half. He was doing things crazy stuff. But he's okay.
He'll be in the NFL a long time.
However, QB, listen, they've got him set up to succeed now. And if Buffalo's not the favorite to win the AFC East, I would be very surprised by that. So they have to deliver, right? That's all I'm saying is that he's going to have to deliver now. It's time to win. And Baker Mayfield for sure has been set up to succeed in Cleveland. If he has another 6 and 10 year, if we assume play the NFL,
going to get on this.
What's going to happen to Baker Mayfield?
No, I understand that, but Baker Mayfield, he'll be fine.
Chubb,
he's going to be fine.
O.J. Beckham, whatever.
Josh Allen's going to be fine. Now you're sitting here talking about Josh Allen.
He's
done just as much as Dak Prescott.
I wouldn't say he has on statistics.
Well, no, but he hasn't played as long. But I'm saying he's taking his team just as far as Dak Prescott.
Well, look, the Buffalo Bills were in the wild card game. They should have beat Houston.
Okay, but they did. But are you blaming that loss on him?
No, you're not hearing what I'm saying. I'm saying that.
No, I guess I'm not.
Rookie quarterbacks that were signed with the previous CBA are not paid the way they were before, and because of that, teams have the ability now to basically let these guys go if they don't pan out. Now, look, Josh Allen had a good year last year, but the year before that, he was just a rookie. Now, he didn't play the whole season. But what I'm saying now is that next year, if we have a next year, he's got to deliver the goods because that team is ready to win. They've got the players around him. Mm-hmm. Same thing with Baker Mayfield in Cleveland. Same thing with Mitchell Trubisky in Chicago. That's where this has all come from. They have to deliver right now. Otherwise, teams will have the ability, and I'm not saying they will, but because they're not, these rookie wage scales are so different today, these teams can move them.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So that's kind of where I'm going with that. And Matt Nagy, listen, he's got Nick Foles, okay? He's not going to start Nick Foles over Trubisky, or is he? I don't know, but he might. And then what do? You say to your second-round draft pick of 2017, hey, bud, you're back up now.
Well, think about what the Cardinals did. They drafted quarterbacks.
Josh Rosen's the same story. And then when your guy from what's the coach Cardinals? Help me out.
Cliff Kingsbury.
When Kingsbury came in, he got the guy he wanted in the following draft.
But what's interesting is, this is why the science of the draft and evaluating players doesn't always pan out. Mm-hmm. Josh Rosen was a first-round pick of the – what pick was he for the Cardinals? Top 5?
He was up there, yeah.
Okay. They release him or trade him or whatever to the Dolphins.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Okay. He couldn't even play for the Dolphins. Now
who could play for those guys? They were horrible.
That has nothing to do with the team.
Except Ryan Fitzpatrick.
It has nothing to do with the team. I'm talking about his position.
Yeah.
He's a first-round pick who has been bounced around and probably will be out of the league here in another year or two. So that's what I'm saying. Just because of the evaluation process, these people are not experts.
Who's not experts?
The scouts, general managers.
You would think the NFL can judge or look at talent. You really would think that.
Josh Rosen is a prime example. He is not in the league.
Well, he is in the league. He may end up.
But
in
JC,
New England,
it goes back to when I was playing. Patrick Ramsey was a first-round pick with the Redskins. He was in the league for 4 years.
Yeah, well, some of these guys don't. Sure,
Cade McNown, first-round pick, 4 years. Okay,
out.
that's my point. They're not experts.
No, well, listen, some guys make it, some guys don't. It's just like recruiting college kids, right? I mean, what was his name? Bobby Sablehouse?
Yeah.
Katie is with us on Facebook Live. There she is. She says, JC, I made it to the podcast. She is a loyal listener to the oldie goldie JC and the QB radio days, QB. And she is now on board with us. Good to have you there, Katie. Tell all your friends and enjoy the show at the hospital. And, good luck to everybody over there in this time right now that we're under. So we've talked about Nick Foles going to Chicago, Trubisky now, watch out. Here's an analogy I want you to try to make for me, QB, before we go to our first break. Or should we do this?
Let's go to our first break.
Let's go to our first break, and then I'm going to bring you an analogy I want you to try to figure out.
All right, we're going to take a time out here on Pot Up with Matthews this morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back.
Time out! Time out! Hey! Time out! Time out! Time out! There we go. Good.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills.
Let's give them something to cheer for now.
Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security, small enough to serve you, large enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Gators Dockside, wings, ribs, seafood, and beer. Peachland Dentistry, Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte and surrounding areas. Area Rug Masters, your #1 choice for rug cleaning, and Pound Hurt, preferred personal injury attorneys.
Our touchdown sponsors are Radware Promotional Materials, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker M.M. Parish, Gator BTW, Campus USA Credit Union, Celebration Point Town Center, Miapa Latin Cafe, Davis Gainesville Chevrolet, Okita America Martial Arts and After School, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, The Keys Grill and Piano Bar, UF Mover Guys, The Digital Mortgage Guy, Adams Ribs, Cloud9 Spa, Wrap Spot, Cold Stone Creamery, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Center State Bank, and Style Cuts.
If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, you can visit our website, potupwithshane.com, and click on the advertise button or call Freddie Wiebe at 352-284-3733.
Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
Looking, still looking. He's going for the end zone. He's got a touchdown!
Welcome back to Pot Up with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. At Center State Bank, we put business first. We are the largest community bank in the state of Florida and understand that small businesses need a community bank business partner that they can rely on. Center State has 5 convenient Alachua County locations to serve you better. To learn more, visit centerstatebank.com. Center State Bank, member FDIC.
Facebook Live brought to us by Pound Hurt, your personal injury attorneys. Tracy says, hey, Shane.
Well, hello, Tracy.
All right. So we got people signing up.
All right, we're going to have our play of the day in this segment. Not right now, but it's a good one. It cracks me up. What were you going to do? What kind of analogy?
So my analogy I was going to bring to you is, okay, so Tom Brady, Hall of Fame, greatest ever, right? Goes to Tampa Bay, a team that struggled. It's a really kind of out-of-the-loop team, hasn't really been successful, had one great year, and, of course, won the Super Bowl that year. Maybe had a couple, but that was the year. But they're not a great franchise. They don't, as far as wins and losses go, okay? Empty stadiums, everything. Give me another analogy where you have a legend signing with a nobody team.
That's current?
No, just in sports, period.
Oh gosh.
And you can think about this because it's not fair to tell you.
It's
to come
more
up
than
with an
more than
answer
football
now.
you're talking
Yeah,
about?
it could be in any pro. But I'll keep it to pro sports. Obviously, you've got a legend at what he does, greatest ever.
Well, Mike Trout plays for the Angels. They stink.
Well, I wouldn't call him a legend yet.
Shoot.
No, I mean he's not a Hall of Famer yet. But I'm talking about a guy who we, you basically you go by a first name or a last name, but Mike Trout. It's Mike Trout. But then you have certain guys like Peyton you go by his first name, Peyton. Eli.
Okay.
Aaron Rodgers, Aaron. So what do you got?
I didn't know they all went by their.
You can call
their
them
names.
anything you want, really, but
I don't know where
are.
you're going with this.
Well, give me an analogy.
I'm working on it.
All right, so think about that. You want to. You want me to just tell you so I don't?
Yeah, because I don't know
don't
where
make your brain.
I have
explode
no. I don't even want to think
because you have
about
to think
this.
for 2 minutes about.
I don't even
something.
want to think about
All right,
it.
so how about Wayne Gretzky to the L.A. Kings?
Okay.
The L.A. Kings were so bad at what they did. They were
Of course,
so
it's
bad.
a hockey analogy.
Well, it's pro sports, and Wayne
Okay,
Gretzky's
give me
a
another one
legend.
That's
the best one.
That's the only one you have.
That's the best one
Give me another
a
one.
legend that went to a garbage.
Do you
team.
have another one?
A legend that went to a garbage team.
You don't.
Well,
Terrible.
That's the first
Terrible
one I
on
came
that.
up with.
Oh, okay.
Well, you didn't even come up with that. You didn't even.
I didn't
come up
even.
with
I
that.
didn't care to think honestly. We're gonna go to. Let's go to our
Did you hear that, Jackie? Jackie Spreads.
Jackie
says,
Spreads
I
rolls
don't
in.
even care.
Play of the day. Today's
go.
play of the day is brought to you by Area Rug Masters. Receive a BOGO rug cleaning when you mention the code Shane or JC. Call them at 352-448-5999. We're going to show a video of Coach O from LSU, who's at the governor's mansion, and he's sitting up there with all the
Dignitaries.
Yes, and he gets on the podium, and here's what he says.
Here, on behalf of the state of Louisiana, the guy who was born in Louisiana, loved Louisiana, and the head coach of the national championship LSU Tigers. And I want to encourage everyone to follow the game plan. I just sat in a meeting with the governor. It was the most organized, most intense meeting, most well-informed meeting that I've ever been in. I can promise you this. The state of Louisiana is fortunate to have Governor Edwards being our leader. And I tell you this, the state of Louisiana has people all over the state working as hard as they possibly can for us to get through this. Look, we all know we from Louisiana, we tough, we're resilient. I encourage you to follow the game plan. Just like I asked the Tigers, man. We put 11 men on the field and we fight like Tigers. It's about execution. It's about one team, one heartbeat. Everybody pulling together like this. We're like this. Nobody gets in between us. This is not the time to be selfish. I urge young people to stay home. Do the things that you need to do. You don't need to be out on the streets doing all kinds of stuff. This is not the time to do that stuff. I do believe that we have a winning plan. I do believe in the state of Louisiana. Hey, it's going to get tough the next 2 weeks. Come on. We tough. Bring it on. Let's just follow the plan. Do the thing that we're supposed to do, and I guarantee you we will win.
Coach O. That was great.
The fact that he had to qualify everything by saying coach of the
National
champions, LSU Tigers.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers. We got to be tough. We got to be tough. I believe in the plan. He didn't tell us what the plan was, but obviously we were assuming the plan is to stay the hell
home.
away from everybody.
Yes. Okay, we're going to bring in Jackie Spreads.
Now we are absolutely not practicing social distancing.
Yes, I'm going to slide over. I'm going to let
Why don't
Jake.
you just get, you get over there. Jackie Spreads. I don't know where you've been in the last 2 days, Jackie, but we're gonna give you this to cleanse, and I will come over here and use this with the QB. How's that?
That sounds
Jackie
great.
Spreads. What in the hell?
I have a second play of the day there after watching
hold
that
on.
video there.
But we just want everybody to know, though, that Jackie Spreads is brought to you by Peachland Dentistry, Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte, Florida, and the surrounding areas. Welcome aboard, my man. I know this has got to be
Always a
heartbreaking for
pleasure.
you to know that the biggest day of your career, so to speak, outside of the Super Bowl is March Madness. And in 3.5 hours, if times had been normal, we would be tipping off one of the greatest sports events that we watch. And how are you dealing with this tragedy?
It's not going well. Every day I
not
think
going
about
well,
it,
QB.
and it just, I try not to think about it, but I do, and it just depresses me. I come home and I come home from work, and all I want to do is watch hoops or whatever, baseball, even anything, and then I think, well, oh, there's no games on indefinitely, and then, oh, well, this is supposed to be the day where the games are on for 12 hours, and I'm watching sports until midnight and 1 a.m. and for a month straight, and it's just you just can't think about it. I did want to mention though that Coach O video. I gotta give it to that sign language interpreter.
Oh, I was going to say the same thing.
I don't know.
Did you see what he did with national champion LSU Tigers?
I don't know how he was able to keep up with that. The guy sounds like he's eating gravel for every meal. It's ridiculous. That guy, that sign language interpreter, deserves a raise.
But how about when he said the national champion LSU Tigers? I think we got the number one sign. Yeah, that was impressive. It was, and look, that guy. I just think I heard his voice. That guy was great. Let me ask you this. Let's go back. When LSU was playing Clemson, they were, I think, a 7-point favorite. What were they?
7.5.
7.5. When that game happened, before the game, were you all over LSU? Because
all over LSU.
You were all over LSU?
All over
okay,
LSU.
That's a good sign to hear. When Clemson played Ohio State, and Clemson was the underdog.
I was all over Clemson.
Or were they the favorite?
They were dogs.
They were 2-point dogs, right?
Plus 2.5.
So you were all over Clemson, so you won that game. And then what did you have for the LSU and Oklahoma game where they were laying literally, I think, 15 points?
LSU. I mean,
so you basically nailed both semifinals and the final.
I did. I had a good week that week.
What do you think of that, QB?
It was literally like you look back on this LSU team, they were probably the best college football team, at least of this decade, since 2010. I mean, of that decade. You could argue 08 Gators, 01 Miami. There's obviously those really, really good teams from back in the day, but no one had a better season than Joe Burrow. Nobody had a more dominant regular season than LSU did this year. I think their only close game was Bama, and they were up by 30 in that game at one point. I know Auburn was a close one too, but Auburn never really had a chance. Yeah. That game was a lot less close than the score said. So, I mean, going into that, it was like, nobody's stopping LSU. If Alabama couldn't stop LSU, nobody's going to stop LSU. Clemson looked like they could do it at first, but then, it all kind of broke down. I think it was 17-7 Clemson early, and then LSU just kind of took off. And
I know.
It was Jamar Chase, I think, had 3 touchdowns.
You just
Clyde
knew
Edwards.
at some point Burrow was going to get it going.
Right.
And even though Clemson's defense is really good, I think Ohio State, I still think that even though I picked Clemson to win that game, I think Ohio State was a better team. I think if you don't kick that kid out, the rusher, the edge rusher, he'll be the number 2 pick of the draft if we have a draft. What's his name for Ohio State? The beast on the edge. So Chase.
Chase. What's his name?
Chase
Young.
Chase Young. You don't, if he doesn't get removed, and if they allow that fumble to go back for 6, Ohio State was a better team. They would have won that game if that touchdown had counted like it should have, and I think that I think Trevor Lawrence was shaken. I think Clemson was a beat team that night, but they, to their credit, pulled it out.
Well, they did.
They got some breaks.
They pulled it out, but you remember that last drive of the game? I remember this because I bet on Clemson, and I was sweating it out hard.
I know.
They threw an interception from the 20-yard line. I mean, Justin Fields threw it right to the defensive back, and that drive was so methodical. It looked like Ohio State was just going to score the last touchdown. Time was going to expire, and they were going to win the game.
That guy was dominating Clemson. That guy. And listen, I think that you're right about this. And I had them in a parlay with LSU, so I had to root for Clemson as well. I just didn't want to. So I think that I think Ohio State really was a team that they could be, if we get to football season, if I like them right now as the preseason 1 or 2, even though Chase Young is not going to be playing. They are good and loaded, and their quarterback is coming back. So I would go with them. Would you take them in the top 1, 2, or 3 teams?
All over Clemson next year.
Oh, you're all over Clemson. I'm talking about Ohio State.
1A Clemson, 1B Ohio State going into next year. Yeah. I don't think there's anybody else relatively close to them right now. You can't count out Saban ever. We know this, but those 2 teams. Clemson has so many guys coming back, including their Heisman quarterback. Yeah. I mean, they were right there last year. They were up 10 points in the national championship game. Well, I don't see them losing again, especially with the cupcake schedule that the ACC has become.
I agree with that. Jackie, thank you for coming in. Our time is limited. It's short, but thank you for making the effort to come in. And you have got Jackie Spreads with us on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we'll try to get it more. Once things get started and games come back, you've been requested to come on more. And, of course, Peachland Dentistry is bringing you Jackie Spreads, the Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte and surrounding areas. Thank you guys for all that support, and thank you, Jackie Spreads, for coming in, my man.
Anytime, guys.
Yeah,
Love
we
it.
appreciate you joining us in the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We're going to take a timeout. We're going to come back. We'll be joined by Alex Marvez talking NFL. He's with Sirius XM NFL Radio. We'll be right back.
Time out! Time out! Hey! Time out! Time out! Time out! There we go. Good.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills.
Let's give them something to cheer for now.
Our Gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security, small enough to serve you, large enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Gators Dockside, wings, ribs, seafood, and beer. Peachland Dentistry, Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte and surrounding areas. Area Rug Masters, your #1 choice for rug cleaning. And Pound Hurt, preferred personal injury attorneys.
Our touchdown sponsors are Radware Promotional Materials, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker M.M. Parish, Gator BTW, Campus USA Credit Union, Celebration Point Town Center, Miapa Latin Cafe, Davis Gainesville Chevrolet, Okita America Martial Arts and After School, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, The Keys Grill and Piano Bar, UF Mover Guys, The Digital Mortgage Guy, Adams Ribs, Cloud9 Spa, Wrap Spot, Coldstone Creamery, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Center State Bank, and Style Cuts.
If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, you can visit our website, potupwithshane.com, and click on the Advertise button or call Freddie Wiebe at 352-284-3733.
Again, thank you for all the great businesses that support the show. Please remember, if you like what we are doing here, thank our sponsors and support the businesses that support us.
Looking, still looking. He's going for the end zone. He's got a touchdown.
Welcome back to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Now we're going to go to the Titan MRI hotline, and we are joined by Alex Marvez from Sirius XM NFL Radio. Alex, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, and this, by the way, this is all very bizarre to me because, Shane, as you know, I've spent a lot of my lifetime interviewing you.
Right.
So, you know, the fact now this is the tables have been turned, so to speak. A little bit weird for me, but no, it is great to be with you. I'm so glad you're doing so well, and I'm excited to be on the podcast.
Appreciate it. Yeah, as Coach Spurrier says, Coach Spurrier is as well. We're both media boys now, since he and I do a podcast also. But Alex also is an announcer for All Elite Wrestling. And before we get in NFL, are you the modern day Gordon Soley?
I wish I was the modern day Gordon Soley, brother. Trust me. I would aspire to be him, but no, it's pretty interesting. You know, we're doing the show. I'm in Jacksonville right now. We just, did an All Elite Wrestling show, recently, although I'm not supposed to say where it is, but I think you can figure out by looking at our stage where it was. And, we were lucky to get dispensation from Duval County to do it, but it's been an amazing ride on TNT at 8:00 every Wednesday night. And, really a childhood dream come true. Before I started writing about professional football, I wrote about professional wrestling and formed a friendship with Tony Khan, whose dad and family owns Jacksonville Jaguars. Very blessed that I had the opportunity to add wrestling to my announcing resume, along with the NFL stuff I do on Sirius XM. So it's been an absolute blast, and I hope people can check out the product and enjoy it.
Who's your all-time favorite wrestler?
Oh, man.
Oh, gosh. I've seen so much Ric Flair through the years,
Yeah,
watching him. But I tell you, Chris Jericho, not only because he works for our company, but, the fact that this guy's been doing it so well for almost 30 years now and keeps reinventing himself, and has just been such a top guy. And, someone who tries to elevate the talent around him, just really, really impressive. But, listen, I'm largely an old school guy. I grew up watching, old championship wrestling in Florida back when that existed, and then old, Jim Crockett Promotions and things like that. I share a locker room now with Tully Blanchard, Arn Anderson, Jake Roberts. 14-year-old Alex is very happy, by the way. Just want to let you know that.
That is, I hope I'm not dating myself then when I say Dusty Rhodes, Dick Murdoch, Jerry and Briscoe, Terry Funk. You know who I'm talking about, Alex?
Oh, you're not. And by the way, Dusty's son Cody is one of our top stars.
Yeah.
Dustin Rhodes, someone else
Sure.
working for our company. We actually have a giant Dusty Rhodes billboard in our that we post.
The American dream, baby, with the bionic elbow. The Bull of the Woods, if you will. Absolutely,
Yes, indeed.
Alex.
And Dusty, he had such a huge influence on so much of pro wrestling. The guy could talk and sold out a ton of arenas back in the old days before wrestling became Hollywoodized. Yes, and I'm very blessed. And I love the Dick Murdoch reference, by the way. Very nice.
Awesome. Thank you, Alex. Thank you so much. Let's go to the NFL. And we had a deal last night that I'd like your opinion or your thoughts on. And of course, I can't recall the last time a Super Bowl winning MVP was traded to another team for a compensatory fourth-round pick, but we had that last night with Nick Foles going to the Chicago Bears for that pick. Tell us a little about what you think that'll do for both teams, and how is Chicago going to utilize Nick Foles with Mitchell Trubisky still there, and what is Jacksonville? I guess this means Minshew is the guy now in Jacksonville.
Yeah, Minshew's the guy for a year, is how I think we got to look at this, right? And sink or swim. And if the guy does well this year, then they're not looking at a quarterback in 2021. And if he does poorly or just doesn't live up to their expectations, well, the Jags are probably going to have a very high pick anyway. So that's when you'd be looking at, selecting a quarterback there. But listen, they have to have a roster reset in Jacksonville. The mess that Tom Coughlin left behind in terms of the acquisitions, in terms of players who hated being a member of the Jacksonville Jaguars largely because of some of the things that Tom Coughlin did. And I mean, it's not just one person, but he helped set the tempo for what became a terrible locker room culture. So Nick Foles moves on, and Nick wasn't part of a terrible locker room culture. He just got caught in the wash. The guy got injured in the first series of the first quarter of his game with Jacksonville, and Gardner Minshew got his chance, and he Wally pipped him. Yeah, and, so we go from there with that. And as for Foles in Chicago, it's a good deal for him because if Mitchell Trubisky should stumble, there's going to be an opportunity to play. And I think a lot of teams that are a little bit shaky at the quarterback position are looking at the Tennessee Titans model, right? Like they traded for Ryan Tannehill. He waited in the wings, and when, Marcus Mariota wasn't all that in a bag of donuts about the midway point of the season, they pulled the trigger, and Tannehill was great. So that's the deal with Trubisky now. He knows he has competition for the first time in his NFL career. So we'll see if it brings out the best in him or if the Bears turn to Nick Foles. And what does Nick Foles have? Because, guys, it's such a weird career for him, right? I mean, 28 touchdowns, 2 interceptions about 6-7 years ago. Everything was great under Chip Kelly. And then all of a sudden he hits rock bottom. He comes back to the top, guys, the Eagles, and then gets that starting job in Jacksonville and then held it for basically no time at all before being out the door, just like his offensive coordinator in Jacksonville, which helped lead to the trade.
Well, I thought he was really good with Doug Peterson, too. I think that whatever that offense was that Doug Peterson was running, Nick Foles was able to execute it almost as well or better than Carson Wentz. When Wentz goes down against the Rams in that season, and here comes Nick Foles. So I don't know. Sometimes it just depends on who you've got running the program. So that brings me now to Tampa Bay, where, of course, they're excited about Tom Brady. And, of course, before anything becomes official, I guess you have to have a signed deal and a physical. So since nobody's taking physicals now, I guess I can't say it's totally official. But Tom Brady's going to be a Buccaneer. Is Bruce Arians going to have to adjust for Tom Brady, or is Tom Brady going to have to adjust for Bruce Arians? And I think we just may have lost Alex.
Yeah, we'll get him back on.
But we'll get him back on. So I think he's very let's see if we just call him. Just
call him right
see
back.
If up there. See if Alex can.
Hey, sorry about dropping there.
No
That's
problem.
all right.
I was just going to get to Brady now, and know how we were talking about Bruce Arians and Tom Brady. So is it more of a function of Arians going to adjust for Tom Brady? Is Tom Brady going? I mean, how's that relationship going to go, you think?
Well, I mean, listen, Bruce Arians has to adjust for Tom Brady, and I say that because if you're expecting Tom Brady to avoid pressure and move around in the pocket to allow plays to develop downfield, you're going to be sorely disappointed. That's not Tom Brady. Short passing game. And listen, I think Bruce Arians is malleable to that. I think that, he's going to take what I think you'll probably have a meeting of the minds, right? I think, what will happen is Leftwich and Arians will keep some of the things in that they like, and then you'll combine that with some of the things that Tom Brady is bringing in, in the passing game. So, listen, the Bucs needed to sell tickets. I get that. And Bruce Arians, listen, guys in his late 60s now, He looked at the veteran quarterbacks out there. He didn't want to keep going down the Jameis Winston road. He didn't want another repeat of the 30 for 30 club. And I think he realized with Jameis, just the decision making has just been so poor, unfortunately, involving interceptions. I mean, it's not only the 30 interceptions he threw, it's the fact that it looks like more than 20 other passes could have been intercepted or were just dropped by defensive backs during the season. So they just don't want to risk that. They thought that Brady's their guy. It's an intriguing deal. It's just so weird to me to talk about Tom Brady as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer because of all his time with the New England Patriots and just how goofy it is that it would end this way and that the relationship between Belichick and Brady would get so strained that Brady felt that he should go elsewhere. And you look at the Patriots now, and I'll be honest, just because Belichick's their head coach and he has a track record, you feel like, oh, yeah, they're pretty much, they're always going to be in good hands. But they have done so little in free agency. And you look at the quarterback spot now, and it's just Jarrett Stidham, and you just wonder, okay, where are the answers coming from the Patriots? And there's nothing out there in the quarterback market that's all that exciting, even if it's Andy Dalton or someone like this. I mean, it just seems like it's a totally new era for the New England Patriots, and I don't know what that era is going to look like, to be quite honest with you, with the roster there.
What about Jacoby Brissett? I mean, they drafted him. He got hurt last year. He played somewhat well. I mean, do you think that's a name they could look at?
Well, I mean, if the Colts want to trade him as well. And there's a question about that. I mean, do you want, if you're the Indianapolis Colts, do you want to help the New England Patriots?
Right.
I mean, in all seriousness, because the Colts are looking to win now. They got Phillip Rivers on a 1-year contract.
Yeah.
It doesn't behoove them to help the New England Patriots get any better. If anything, you sort of want to put Jacoby Brissett on ice for a season. I mean, it's a business of football, but I mean, you are going to be paying the guy $13-14 million to sit on the bench potentially. So it is intriguing, but I think Brissett, remember this too, and this is the crazy part about it. And Brissett did replace Andrew Luck, so he knows. But whoever replaces Tom Brady, that's a miserable experience.
Yes.
It really is. I mean, just ask Jay Fiedler about replacing Dan Marino or Brian Greasy about replacing John Elway. I mean, guys like that. The shoes are so huge you have to fill, and everything gets judged. And just on comparing him to in the case of Brady, the greatest of all time. I mean, it's going to be tough for whoever's under center.
We're speaking with Alex Marvez on the Titan MRI hotline. Alex is NFL radio host on Sirius XM. Alex, since we've talked about Jacksonville, we talked about Tampa a little bit. Let's move on down south to Miami. We got a lot of fans that follow the Dolphins. Do you like what they've done so far in free agency, and do you think Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to be their quarterback all year next year?
By the way, Shane Matthews, a former Miami Dolphin.
That's right.
That's right. NFL career.
Yeah.
Never played a snap. Never played a snap there.
I know. And it's funny. While we're doing this podcast, I actually got a phone call from George Payton. So the weird part is who helped bring you in to the Miami Dolphins, now a top executive of the Minnesota Vikings. But I digress. It's interesting with the Dolphins. They invested so much money, which they were planning to, having $100 million in cap space on retooling the defense. You got, so many former New England Patriots there, plus Byron Jones. I mean, so they've got their secondary now with Jones and Xavier Howard. You also on the offensive side of the ball, Eric Flowers comes back home, a guy who reinvented himself at guard after washing out at tackle. And on top of that, Jordan Howard. I mean, they've added a lot more pieces. And in the case of Ryan Fitzpatrick, I think he's the de facto starter until you end up drafting a quarterback. Mm-hmm. And with the Dolphins at number 5, they're in pretty good position. They brought Jordan Love in from Utah State for a pre-draft visit. Justin Herbert's an option for them as well. I don't think that they're going to be in position to potentially – I mean, look, they still may be able to get Tua Tagovailoa. But with the L.A. Chargers now, you've got to wonder, okay, are they going to move up in this draft to select a quarterback? Because right now it's just Tyrod Taylor and Easton Stick on their end. But I think, Fitzpatrick's the quarterback for now. And then you end up drafting a guy, and that'll be your number 2 to start the season. And with Josh Rosen, who unfortunately has not been able to get his act together, during his time, with Arizona and then the Miami Dolphins, and just looks like someone that is going to, be destined to sort of a journeyman type career at this point, because he just didn't impress enough with either team to keep a job.
I hope that works out for the Dolphins. I like Brian Flores. I think he's had a tough run, but I don't think much of that is any of his fault. I think their management has been so poor in the draft, and hopefully they'll get it together and do better there, Alex. But what's going to happen in Dallas with Dak Prescott? They're going to franchise him. Is he going to go ahead and sign that tag, you think, or do you think they can work something out with him?
Well, this is the weird part about the way the world is going right now. There's a real thought that NFL teams are not going to have off-season programs. Right. And, I know Judy Batista of NFL Network reported this, and this is important in this regard. Like, there's not going to be the sideshow with Dak Prescott that there would normally be in an off-season because off-season programs are canceled. So, would Dak show up in practice without a contract? Would the Cowboys offer a waiver and you show up and everything hunky-dory? You know what I mean? They're not going to deal with any of that this season. I think, everyone's sort of waiting this to find out, okay, what's going to happen with Patrick Mahomes? And then, where does Mahomes set the quarterback market? And then where does Dak Prescott come in? And I think the guy we have to watch, too, is Deshaun Watson of the Houston Texans. Because I really feel in a lot of ways Deshaun and Dak, when it comes to contract status, might be pretty compatible, or comparable. I don't know if Dak's camp's going to feel that way, but I think, you look at Watson and everything he's done in 3 seasons, and it's pretty darn impressive as well. So all that being said, listen, if you're the Cowboys, you've gotten very frustrated, but the problem with the Cowboys apparently is the length of contract that they keep wanting Dak Prescott to sign. Dak understands, and his agents, Todd France of CAA understand, in 3 years, 4 years, the salary cap is going to look very different. And you're talking about a jump potentially $250, $300 million, this quantum leap in money that's going to be going into the cap. So you don't want to sign a deal that looks great now, in terms of average, but is also so long that you don't have leverage for free agency. And I get it. For the average fan, it's like, how much is enough? You know what I mean? How many millions are
$105 million? Guaranteed?
Right. That's the whole thing. I agree. I mean, that's you know what? And that's the thing. Well, yeah, the cap, honestly, the cap by the time we're done in 10 years, maybe up to $400 million.
Oh, my.
I mean, it sounds insane, but when the NFL's not, but the NFL's getting new television deals, and it's the only thing that that can carry the network, so there's huge popularity for it. Oh, and by the way, once they establish a gaming partner and perhaps pick up a small percentage of the gaming revenue of things placed on NFL games through a particular gaming partner, I mean, revenue's jumping through the roof. So that's where we're at. It's just, listen, it's all business. And I think this is the way for an average fan to look at it. This isn't your problem. You know what I mean? Let the Cowboys and Dak Prescott deal with this themselves. Don't worry about how they manage the cap. They'll have to draft around it. They'll have to be, more prudent in their free agent decisions. They've already lost Byron Jones and some of their other players. But I think Jerry Jones doesn't want to lose Dak Prescott. And I think ultimately a deal gets done before July 15th.
Well, imagine the issue that Kansas City's going to have now with everything you just said with Pat Mahomes next year. I mean, I think his contract is he's in a contract year.
Oh, no, they'll sign him this year. I mean,
they're going to just lock him up this year?
Yeah, because he went 3 years and he's outplayed his deal, and that's become the new standard.
Oh.
When Carson Wentz got his contract, extended after just 3 years, it opened the floodgates for the top rookie quarterbacks to get their deals done after 3 years. It's sort of become the new thing in the NFL. It used to be, we'll play to your 4th year and then we'll see if we extend you. Not anymore. Players, their agents don't want to wait, and teams don't want to wait because the value of some of these players like Mahomes is only going to get bigger every year. So I would imagine a contract somewhere between $38 and $40 million a year. Again, big question is length of the contract. How long is he going to sign for? Because, again, he'll want another bite at the apple down the road.
Right. Alex, can you explain to me what Bill O'Brien was thinking shipping off DeAndre Hopkins? Am I missing something here? I think he's one of the, if not the best receiver in the league, and you get rid of him with a young, talented quarterback?
Well, I mean, he's no Willie Jackson. I'll tell you that. But I mean, listen, with Deshaun, this is the deal. I mean, it's obviously there's some personal stuff that gets involved. And, DeAndre Hopkins wanted a contract extension, and I think Bill O'Brien was worried about a holdout. Why he didn't want to pay DeAndre Hopkins, like Michael Irvin was talking about some personal stuff. And, when it becomes personal, that's a real problem, with a team. And in the case of Bill O'Brien, he's judge, juror, and jailer there. There's no general manager to keep him in check because he has that responsibility. So you've looked at some really offbeat type maneuvers that, ever since he took over the personnel power, the trade for Laramie Tunsil, Jadeveon Clowney for a 3rd-round pick and a ham sandwich, those types of things, like you just scratch your head a little bit. And listen, it looks on the surface like highway robbery. Then why would you trade him? They signed Randall Cobb away from the Cowboys, but he doesn't, challenge coverage the same way that DeAndre Hopkins does. Right. And David Johnson, you're trading for a 29-year-old running back with a double-digit salary? Mm-hmm. Really? I mean, 8 digits? I mean, really? This is what you're doing? So, yeah, a lot of people are scratching their heads, but I'll tell you this. I know when it comes to X's and O's, Bill O'Brien's a good football coach. And it's reflected in Deshaun Watson's development. It's reflected in the fact his team has made the playoffs for the past 5 years. So, I mean, while we can sit here and knock the guy for a lot of things, He knows how to win games, but are the Houston Texans now a better team without DeAndre Hopkins? No. You just have to wonder what else was going on behind the scenes with Hopkins that made him sour with Bill O'Brien.
Final questions for you here, Alex. We appreciate you joining the show here. It's kind of a two-part question. Has free agency, with what's going on in the world today, has it changed a lot? You guys used to fly in for their visits, go to dinner, do this, do that. Is most of it done over the phone now? And my second question is C.J. Henderson pretty much the only Gator that will probably be drafted in the first round?
Yeah, so Jonathan Grenard is a guy that's going to go pretty early as well. And Zuniga really helped himself at the scouting combine. I feel for that guy so much. I mean, he came back for his, for the 2019 season and got hurt, and it just wasn't the same guy. But C.J. Henderson could be going as high as 11 to the New York Jets. I mean, there are some folks who feel like he might have a better pro career than Jeff Okudah, and that includes my my Sirius XM co-host Gil Brandt. So C.J. really, the speed, the production, I mean, it's all there. I mean, he is a top-tier corner. He will knock it out of the top 15. I think Dallas is loving to draft him at 17 if he's available. I just don't know if he's able to get there, although I expect a run on tackles very early in this draft, 5-6 names coming off the board on that standpoint. As for free agency, listen, man, it's so funny, Shane. You remember, look how much teams invest in the draft, right? And how much hyperbole there is around it, and finding out everything about a potential prospect. What did they have for breakfast? Where did they go the night before? Their character, all these things, and things about their family. You name it. They're researching this, and yet when it comes to free agency 4 years later, they're signing guys sight unseen. It's like, okay, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it's just the way that it's gone, and teams don't want to wait because they're afraid that if they bring a player in, and they can't do it this year, it's prohibited by the NFL because of the coronavirus. But a lot of times it's like, well, if we bring a guy in, we snooze, we lose because someone else is going to offer him a contract. And by the time, or even if it's a player, you bring them in, let's say they spurn you or you don't like the visit with the player. Well, by the time that the whole visit happens, like 5 other guys have signed at the particular position and you're left holding the bag and you haven't gotten the guy. So all that being said, free agency is a very different animal right now, really controlled by the agents. And listen, teams have so much money to spend. And one thing I learned is it's like basically like the Scott Pioli effect. When Scott was with Kansas City in 2012, he did a great job of saving salary cap space, right? Heading into the 2013 offseason, there was just one problem. Scott got fired. So, so Andy Reid and John Dorsey inherited a huge amount of cap space, and a bad Chiefs team was able to get good quickly. So you see, general managers are not going to leave it for anyone else to claim, to take advantage of all the cap space. They're going to spend the money themselves and leave it, and if they're able to succeed by spending the money, they'll worry about it the next year, as long as they keep their jobs. So it's just a different league than when free agency started, and, so much money being spent. But hey, the league is flourishing, man. I mean, that's just the way it is. NFL is king, and it's carrying our sports world right now.
You got that right, especially with this free agency. Alex, this has been tremendous. We really hope you'll join us again.
Before we let him go, Alex is also a Pro Football Hall of Fame voter, and I expect one year to get at least a vote from Alex Marvez for the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
You're a fill-in. You're a fill-in.
Fill-in. Appreciate that. Alex, let everybody know where they can check you out before we let you go.
Oh, yeah, I'm on Sirius XM, 6-7 days a week, usually 7 to 11 p.m. Eastern Time, 2 to 6 p.m. on weekends, All Elite Wrestling, 8 o'clock Eastern Time on Wednesday night, do a lot of backstage interviews, do some social media, things like that, at Alex Marvez on Twitter, and hit me up, and I'm happy to help in whatever way, and go Gators.
What channel on Sirius?
Channel 88, Sirius XM NFL Radio.
There it is.
Hey, Alex, appreciate it, buddy. Have a good day. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, great. Go Gators.
All right. That's Alex Marvez joining the program on the Titan MR hotline, and man, is he good.
I heard him on some other stations with some other hosts. It was good stuff. Earlier, I asked, what was one of the, where you have a Hall of Famer going to a.
You're excited because people responded.
Go down. Let's hear the pound. Let's go to the Pound Hurt Facebook Live. Let's see what Clay says. Keep going up. Clay says Steve Spurrier to UF.
that's a typical Alabama guy.
That's a great one. Emmett Smith to Cardinals.
I like how Rick spelled Emmett's name.
Well, he forgot an M.
There's also an I in there.
That's So that was a great interview, Freddie. We agree. Gary says his face was a crimson mass. That was something that Gordon Soley would say when they would cut themselves and there was blood everywhere, and they put this ball in front of the mask on the TV production on Wrestling from the Sunshine State. That was great stuff. Alex Marvez, man, he brings a lot to the table for us here, and that was a great interview. We really love it. Do we have anything for tomorrow? We're working on tomorrow still?
Tomorrow, Patrick Young, former Gator basketball player, will be in studio with us, JC. He's going to tell us what he's doing today. He's also really involved with Food for Kids right now, getting food donated with kids being out of school. But real quick, I got to read this celebration points where the Gators come to celebrate with premium brands like Bass Pro Shop, Palmetto Moon, Skechers, Starbucks, The Keys Grill and Piano Bar, Select Shades, Regal Cinemas, and coming soon, the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. We'll see you at Celebration Point where the Gators come to celebrate.
All right. Well, that was a good show. We appreciate you joining us today, and we will have much more for you as we go through a very difficult time in the sports
Absolutely. World. Remember, Patrick Young will be here tomorrow, so make sure you tune in. He'll have some good stuff to throw out there to you. But today's show's a wrap brought to you by WrapSpot, a vehicle wrap from WrapSpot will give your business years of brand recognition and increased sales. Call WrapSpot today. We'll see you tomorrow.